Let's move on. 1 p.m. Eastern, the Detroit Lions 5-1, 3-0 on the road. The Baltimore Ravens 4-2, 1-1 at home at M&T Bank Stadium, Baltimore, Maryland. 60 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 15 miles per hour. I've been looking at the futures market quite a lot this week, and I looked at the Lions to win the conference, and I came very close to betting it. There are two spots that I plan on moving on. One with a max bet for me. I'll have to call in if I want to bet more than $500. I have to call and if I want to, but I think 500 is fine for the one max bet that I'm going to be making. That's later on, and then I am interested in another one at a bigger price. But we'll get into that later. I'm not going to move on the Lions at this point. 60 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 15 mile per hour winds at M&T Bank Stadium in Charm City. Let's get right into the Lion history here for this one. Lions, Ravens. This is going to be so much fun. I can't wait to watch this football game. First off, on the spread, we're sitting here at 3 at Pinnacle. The 3 is pretty juiced towards the Detroit Lions. This opened up at 2.5. And it moved to 3. The first time it moved to 3, it got right back to 2.5, and now we're back at 3 again. And that 3 is juiced for the Lions. So it's pretty clear to me, at 2.5, the sharp bettors are hammering the Ravens. At 3, the sharp bettors are hammering the Lions. It's a pretty clear situation, and I like clarity. When we go to the total here, we have it at 42. This opened up at 44. It's dropped 2 points to 42. Now, it did drop down to 41.5, so there has been a little bit of buyback. We get over to the cash flow for this one. You have 49% of the tickets and 63% of the cash on the Detroit Lions. And from a total perspective, 80% of the tickets and 94% of cash on the under. Sky Dragons on the over 42 and Detroit +3. Harold Williams on the Lions +3. Spenny Penny Bombs on the Lions +3 and the money line. Brady said he bet the Lions +3, then Lions +8.5. Alt spreads and Lions money line. At 5-1, the Lions are off to their fastest start since 2011. Now that Eagles Niners lost, they all share the same best record. They come in off that impressive 26 win at Tampa. They've won 4 straight games, all by at least 14 points. They have won 7 of their last 8 road games dating back to last year. They won despite losing David Montgomery to a rib injury and being unable to move the ball on the ground. Jameer Gibbs was inactive with a hamstring injury. They were down to Craig Reynolds, who ran 10 times for just 15 yards, but that block he put on to give Amon-Ra St. Brown to give him that boost was spectacular. It was just great. So he still really helped in the win. So Montgomery's rib injury will keep him out of the lineup this week, and there is a big, because it's a cartilage issue, there's a real chance that he's going to end up on IR. And Campbell thinks that Jameer Gibbs will be back. First-round pick will be back after missing the past 2 games with a hamstring injury. He rushed for 179 yards on 39 carries this year. 70 yards and 14 catches as well through 4 games. And his best game came when Montgomery was inactive. It was against the Falcons. He rushed 17 times for 80 yards. And if he gets the bulk of the carries, if his hamstring can stay together, he's going to be able to deliver. The Lions have rushed for 124.2 yards per game. That includes just 40 last week with the injuries. They have the 7th ranked rush offense DVOA. And it'll be very, very important to all of our capping to see if they can maintain that without Montgomery on the field, and whether or not Jameer Gibbs is going to be, healthy and stay healthy. They looked excellent through the air against the Bucs. Goff was 30 of 44 for 353 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Amon-Ra St. Brown caught 12 passes for 124 yards and a touchdown. Sammy Laporta had 4 catches for 36 yards. He's 1 catch away from joining Keith Jackson, Jordan Reed, and Kyle Pitts as the only tight ends in NFL history with 30 receptions through their first 6 games of their career. Lions were 9-16 on 3rd down. They held the ball for 36 minutes and 30 seconds. That's a recipe of winning football games, especially on the road. They didn't have to do much. Their defense against this lackluster Bucs offense, they sacked Baker once, hit him 4 times, held him to 0-2 in the red zone, 2 of 12 on 3rd down. Detroit's red zone defense has not been good this year. They ranked 21st, allowing touchdowns 57.89% of the time. Cornerback Brian Branch, Jonah Jackson were inactive. Branch has missed the past 2 games with the ankle injury. They have managed fine with Will Harris in the nickel spot. Will Harris had the interception in the game, but they need Branch. They need Branch back. He's a big piece of the puzzle. His pick 6 this year. He has 25 tackles, 3 for a loss. He's been good. The Ravens head back to North America after their 24-16 win over the Titans in London, England. Lamar Jackson, 21 of 30 for 223 yards, a touchdown and a pick. He also ran 13 times for 62 yards. Mark Andrews still has yet to have that breakout game that we're all waiting for. Coming back from the quad injury, he's looking stronger each week, but he hasn't had the breakout game. Against the Titans, he caught 4 for 69. The Ravens should have escalated that score, but 1 of 6 in the red zone, and that's not been an issue for them this year. So that's just a 1-game sample size. They're still 9th in the league, 58.3% of their opportunities they're cashing for 6. The defense looked very strong, 6 sacks, 10 quarterback hits. One of those knocked Tannehill out of the game, held the Titans to just 233 total yards, 1 of 9 on third down. The second best red zone defense in the league was back at it, held the Titans to 1 of 4 on the day. Geno Stone had to pick. Justin Tucker 6 for 6 on field goals. This is a very good team. Now, they're still dealing with injuries. Cornerback Kevon Seymour ruled out with the ankle injury last week. Malik Harrison left for concussion. He's in concussion protocol. Harbaugh didn't give an update. And we're still waiting for Marcus Williams to be given a good to go. He's still dealing with his hamstring injury. We're not sure if he's going to play this week. And the Ravens have lost each of their last 4 games as favorites following a win. And everybody in the chat on the Lions, I'm not going to be on the Lions. I know that this is a bad travel spot for the Ravens, but let's see the Lions go out on the road again and win on the road again. And if you guys all cash, God bless you. Maybe you keep me off of the Ravens. But I don't. This is Ravens or no bet for me at this point. Take it away, Mikey. Floor is yours.
Boy, there's some closing thoughts there that kind of got me a little on the nervous end of things here, because I like this I like this Lions +3 and the money line spots, but the numbers when you look at these lines kind of scare me. I guess I'm kind of countering the line or lack of line movement with the fact that they do have that Montgomery issue, the Laporta uncertainty as well. So. I guess I can kind of dismiss it a little bit, but, breaking down the numbers, Detroit, 11-0 against the spread when they've won their last game by more than a score. Guess who the best team is in the NFL since they hooked up in the Campbell-Goff era? No team has covered more spreads and been more productive in winning games than the Detroit Lions. Right now they're 28-12. They're 5-1 on this season together. They're just winners. Baltimore, when Lamar Jackson is a favorite, one of the worst in the NFL, especially coming off a travel. He's 8-16 against the spread as a favorite. Another factor that's in there, and I don't know how you feel about this. I'm curious your thoughts when you look at, we talk about this with baseball, right? When a team's got 3 factors in a row, and then they go on the road, or 3 at home, and then they go, or vice versa, 3 on the road and then come back home. I think that those are fade spots for you in Major League Baseball. I don't want to volunteer it for you, but I think those are some fade spots. I kind of like that same strategy when it comes to the NFL here. And, we had 3 big travel spots for the Baltimore Ravens, right? They had their game at Cleveland. 2 big divisional games as well. You don't think that wears you down? They beat up Cleveland 28-3. They lost to Pittsburgh 17-10. Then they had that London travel spot. And I just don't think that adds up to much of an opportunity here. Now, for those that are thinking Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the guy that gets the job done, 2 things. First of all, he's not the guy. He's the receiving back. Detroit likes to have a running back that pounds and ground and pounds the ball between the tackles, and they like to have that outlet receiving back. That's why Gibbs is there. You saw that with Swift a year ago, and Gibbs is that replacement. He's more than capable replacement, but he's coming off that injury. Big factor with the injury that he's coming back from. You're not going to go all in with this guy, but Craig Reynolds has experience in the NFL. He's come in here from time to time to spell Montgomery when there were some mid-game injuries earlier this season. And I do think he's going to be the guy that goes out there as the one of the 1-2 punch. So could I be wrong? Sure. I've been wrong plenty of times before. But, look at the offense and just look at overall teams. The Detroit Lions are one of the most balanced teams in the NFL right now. They're productive on offense. They're 4th at points per game, averaging 29.6. Their DVOA in Detroit and the defense against the run is 4th in the NFL. And their pass is 8th in the NFL. So it's a stacked team, both offensively and defensively. We know that they brought an offensive line to beef that up this year so they can continue to support Goff and provide that opportunity for that 1-2 running punch. And if you start looking at game script, to me, you've got Detroit's run defense versus Baltimore's run offense. Baltimore runs the 2nd highest run rate in the NFL at just under 51% of their time that they pass that ball out there. Oh, and by the way, it's a windy game. They're projecting 16 miles an hour wind. I don't think Lamar Jackson's very much a passing threat anyways. He's a keep the ball on the ground type of guy. And that's where that run opens up the pass. But in this case, I think what's going to happen with this Detroit game is I think they're going to shut down that run. I think Detroit's going to find a way to bottle that thing up. You already talked about Mark Andrews not being as effective and having, I mean, Jesus, a year ago, he was 125 yards and 1 to 2 touchdowns every single game. We just haven't seen that this season. So now what's going to happen is you're going to take Baltimore, who ranks 17th in the NFL in passing. If that ground game gets stopped, now you got Lamar Jackson that has to pass in 16 to 20 mile an hour winds. And a game when we do have wind factors for the home favorite, when the wind's over 15 miles an hour, it goes 9-19 to the under. I got to take this Detroit side of things. I don't care. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take the +3 and I'm gonna take the money line. I talked myself into it, out of it, and then back into it, and I was into it from the get-go. So I got the +3 at -105. And unless you can get better on these money lines here, I see a +142 on the money line.
I will do some line shopping for that for you when we break down the next spot. I don't think I move on the Ravens at this point. I would like Gibbs to be announced in, and I with all of you guys on the Lions, I take that to heart. So I'm going to sit with this a little longer. Mikey has moved on the Lions plus the points, as well as the money line. That concludes 1 p.m. action.